Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I made this corset. As you can see, I can breathe in it. It slims me down real nice. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using an old pattern from a corset I previously made. I just need to make some modifications to the front and the back. So I start off by tracing the front out on some more paper. For the modifications, the first thing I'm going to do is add in some curve at the waist because my goal is going to be trying to get a little bit of waist reduction. So I'm going to curve in that waist, and then I'm also going to straighten out the bottom. Now for some terrible editing, never trying that again, that was terrible. Anyway, let's go ahead and do the back. So I'm going to trace the back out onto some paper. And then I'm going to bring in one side of the back by like 1.5 inches or so. And then I'm going to add some curve to the other side of the back. Got to make sure there's space so I can actually reduce my waist. So that's my new back piece. So now I have all 4 pieces of my corset. I'm going to trace them out into some old cotton I had to make a mock-up. And then I'm going to sew them together, center back to side back. Then side back to side front, and then side front to center front. Then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side, at which point the whole corset will be put together. On my dress form, as you can see, I have quite a bit of space in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. Now I'm going to cut it out of my fabric that I'm making the corset out of. I just chose some regular cotton duck canvas, whatever it's called. I made 2 out of canvas and 1 out of broadcloth that I'm going to flat line to the back. Sew them together the same way I did the mock-up. So now I have the front and the back together. Start off with pressing the seams. And once the seams are pressed, I'm going to set the front one to the side because I don't need that anymore for now. Now with the back one, I'm going to go ahead and take some twill tape and I'm going to make a waist tape and all my boning channels. I did a boning channel on each seam and I'm just going to sew it up and down on both sides. Now that all my boning channels are in, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to sew another line right on top of those seams. On those extra pieces of twill tape I added, I'm just going to sew right down the middle. Now that the boning channels are ready, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the bones. I'm using flat steel boning for the 2 bones around the eyelets in the back and spiral steel boning for the rest of them. I measured them about 1 inch, 1.5 inches or so shorter than the channels, and I cut them up. Make sure that there are no super sharp pieces. With the flat steel boning, I just file those down. And then I cover all of the tips in duct tape just to make sure that they won't poke through the fabric. Once all the bones are ready, I insert them into the boning channels. And then once all the bones are in, I'm just going to bag line the front and the back together along those 2 back seams. So now I flip that inside out and I'm going to put one of my spiral steel bones right up there in the side. I pinned it in place all the way up in that seam and I'm going to use a zipper foot so I can sew really close to it, and I'm going to do that really slow so I don't break a needle. But there it is. And now that that's done, I flatline the top and the bottom. Okay, so I just finished sewing the flat line in the top, and I just wanted to show y'all this is like literally the closest game of bobbin chicken I have ever won, because look at how much was left on that bobbin. Like, that was literally it, and it made it the whole way across. Like, bobbin chicken wins, eh? So now that the top and the bottom are both flat lined, I'm going to take some bias tape and I'm going to seal in those ends at the top and the bottom. So I just pin my bias tape on. I'm going to sew in that top crease on the top and the bottom very slowly. And once that's done, I can fold the bias tape to the back and I'm going to hand sew that in place. With the top and bottom covered in bias tape, I can finally move on to the final part, which is adding in my eyelets. So I just figured out where I wanted my eyelets to go. I'm going to do 8 on each side. I poke the holes with an awl, make the holes a little bit bigger with some scissors, just big enough for me to squeeze that bottom part through. Put the other part on top and then use the little anvil thing to hammer it in place. And I just do that over and over again for the rest of them. So now with all the eyelets in, it's time to lace it up. So I put it on my dress form just so I can hold it up while I lace it. And I'm doing the bunny ear method. So I made the little bunny ears, pinned them out of place so I could do the rest. And then I just tied the bottom in a bow and we're done. Well, I like it. It fits pretty nice. I can breathe. It's a little bit tight, but that's just the nature of wearing a corset, I guess, which is something I have to get used to. Design wise, if I was to ever go back and do this again, I'd probably take these 2 seams here and move them in maybe like an inch or so, so that they'd sit like where my actual princess seams would be. I don't know, I feel like that's probably more accurate, but it's whatever. I can bend, I can move around, I look awesome in it. So it's about what I was expecting. All right, see you next time. Bye.